Elias Ablazem, whose notoriety became inseparable from a sequence of terrifying and tragic incidents, entered this world in Israel in 1976. His upbringing was a tapestry woven with turbulences, particularly marked by the Gulf War that roiled the region from 1990 to 1991. The Gulf War's tremors deeply resonated in his formative years, exposing him to the unsettling realities of conflict, displacement, and the haunting specter of violence that strained his early memories. At a tender age of 10, Abulazem found himself uprooted from his homeland, and his family sought refuge and resettled in the United States, specifically in the state of Michigan. This abrupt relocation amidst the aftermath of war presented a seismic shift in his life trajectory. Adjusting to a new culture, language, and societal landscape posed its own challenges, further molding his evolving identity against the backdrop of a tumultuous past. Despite the physical distance from the geopolitical turbulences of the Middle East, the echoes of the Gulf War lingered in Abulazem's consciousness, perhaps influencing the lens through which he perceived the world and navigated his own existence. These formative experiences, coupled with subsequent events, would later intertwine in unforeseen and tragic ways, shaping a narrative that etched his name into the darker annals of history. Described as introverted and grappling with personal struggles, Abdulazem's life seemingly took a turn for the worse as he navigated the challenges of adolescence and young adulthood. Reports suggest that he faced brushes with the law during his teenage years, indicative of a troubled past that would eventually culminate into a series of heinous crimes that shook the city of Flint and reverberated across the nation. Despite the early hardship and personal difficulties, little could have foretold the shocking turn of events that would later unfold, solidifying Abdulazem's place in history for all the wrong reasons. The name Elias Abdulazem would become intricately linked to a reign of terror that gripped the city of Flint, Michigan during 2010, a period marked by a series of random and brutal stabbings that terrorized the community. This backdrop of personal struggles, a troubled past, and a move to a new country adds a layer of complexity to the narrative of Elias Ablazem. Understanding his background becomes crucial in piecing together the puzzle of what led to the shocking and senseless acts that would ultimately define his infamy. Before we get into this episode, I would like to give a quick disclaimer. This podcast contains graphic content and descriptions of real-life crimes, which some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. The information provided is based on publicly available sources and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. We do not condone or glorify any criminal acts mentioned in this podcast. Names, details, and sequences of events might have been altered for privacy or clarity. The opinions expressed by the host or guest are their own and do not reflect the views of this podcast. Before we fully jump into this episode, I would like to explain what Dark Legacy is all about. Dark Legacies is a new podcast segment under this channel, Creepypasta with Praise, which whole identity is surrounding exploring scary stories, true crime, and everything related. I started Dark Legacies as a form of way of bringing true crime cases to the knowledge and awareness of those who may not find true crime entertaining enough, but while still letting them know or have an idea of what is happening. Because even if some of these cases may be old, doesn't mean that similar crimes are old. In today's time, we still have a lot of cases or a lot of crimes affected or relating to similar cases, and a lot of people are taking inspirations from cases that happened years ago, decades ago. So I feel it's best that everyone is aware, like they say, prevention is better than cure. So, if you find listening to true crimes a bit disturbing, this podcast may be a way for you to familiarize yourself with cases like that and learn better ways to avoid such cases. Nothing said in this podcast is professional advice, but all are personal advices that I feel may be helpful to whoever it's intended for. Please stay safe and enjoy this podcast. Elias Ablazem's life and formative years, marked by a tapestry of challenges and transitions, form the backdrop against which his life's narrative unfolds. Born in Region Lesion, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, in Israel in the year 1976, Abulazem's childhood unfolded in the midst of regional conflict, notably during the Gulf War. The volatile atmosphere of conflict, uncertainty, and the ever-present threat of violence could have cast a profound shadow over his upbringing, potentially leaving enduring psychological imprint. The trajectory of Abdulazem's life took a pivotal turn at the age of 10 when his family decided to seek a new beginning in the United States. Settling in Michigan, this move was a seismic shift that thrust Elias into the entirely different world. A world replete with unfamiliar customs, a language he had yet to master, and the challenge of assimilating into a vastly distinct culture. This abrupt relocation during his formative years likely posed formidable challenges to his sense of identity, belonging, and stability. Reports and observations from this period paint a portrait of a young Abdulazem struggling to find his place within this new environment. Accounts suggest that he grappled with feelings of isolation and alienation, a consequence of attempting to navigate the complexities of cultural adaptations and integration. Such challenges in forming meaningful connections and establishing a sense of rootedness in his adopted homeland might have exacerbated internal conflict and emotional distress. Notably, amid these personal struggles, Abdulazem's life also saw a significant event. His remarriage. Details about this period are somewhat limited, but his remarriage could have represented both a fresh start and a source of potential stability in his life. However, the dynamics and impact of this remarriage on his psyche and behavior remain largely unexplored, adding another layer of complexity to his narrative of life. Furthermore, the earlier years of Abdulazem's life in the United States were punctuated by reported encounters with law enforcement during his teenage years. These encounters, shrouded in ambiguity, hint at potential behavioral issues or conflicts with authoritative figures. Such incidents might have contributed to a sense of discord and inner turmoil within Abdulazem. This intricate mosaic of experiences uprooting from a home country amidst conflict, grappling with cultural assimilation, reported feelings of social detachment, the significant life events of remarriage, and encounters with law enforcement undoubtedly sculptured a complex psychological terrain. The convergence of the multi-phase experience likely played a pivotal role in shaping the mindset of Elias and potentially contributed to the distressing sequence of events that would later unfold in the Flint serial stabbings. Elias Abdulazem's life narrative unfolds as a mosaic of personal upheavals, professional engagements, and intricate relationships, notably exemplified by his marriage to Jessica Hertz and his professional trajectory until 2008. The bond between Elias and Abdulazem and Jessica Hertz was sealed on July 30th, 2004, carrying promises of partnership and companionship. However, this matrimonial union was short-lived, met with the shadows of discord. Their marriage encountered turbulent waters, ultimately culminating in a divorce in 2007, a dissolution that revealed starkly contrasting perceptions of Elias. Within the confines of their marriage, opinions about Elias diverged significantly. Jessica's mother perceived him as a seemingly amiable and affable individual, unaware of any underlying issues within the relationship. In contrast, her father held a markedly different perspective, alleged alleging instances of abusive behaviors attributed to Elias. The emerging of such accusations against Elias introduced complexity and shades of ambiguity to the dynamics within their marriage. The brevity and the discord within this marriage to Jessica add yet another layer of intricacies to Abdulazim's life narrative. The impact of this failed union, the allegations of abuse, and the emotional repercussions potentially interweaving with these personal struggles and psychological states, presenting an intriguing but enigmatic facet in understanding the complex journey that led to the distressing sequence of events synonymous to the Flint serial stabbing. Before the unsettling series of stabbings that gripped Flint, Michigan, Abdulazem's professional trajectory encompassed a tenure at the Piedmont Behavioral Health Care Center in Leesburg, Virginia, until 2008. His role as a mental health technician within an adolescent psychiatric facility offered a unique vantage point into the realm of mental health, potentially exposing him to the intricacies of psychological challenges faced by individuals. However, specific details about his experience and responsibilities within this role remained veiled, leaving uncertainties about the extent of its influence on his psyche and subsequent actions. Following his relocation to Michigan, Abdulazem took a position as a clerk at King Water Market in Beecher from July 5th to August 1st, 2010, operating under the monarchy Eli. He interacted with customers within the community. However, amidst this period, an incident on July 29 involving the citation of providing alcohol to a minor considered with the stabbing of a 59-year-old man in Flint, a chilling overlap that raised eyebrows. Abdulazem's transient addresses legal documentation from the Brandamont, Florida previous residence, records in Grand Blanc, and his final residence in a house belonging to his uncle on the Maryland Avenue, Flint's east side, all contribute to the enigmatic backdrop against which his action unfolded. The convergence of Abdulazim's personal and professional experiences intertwined with the unsettling incidents preceding the Flint stabbing forms an intricate tapestry that invites curiosity and speculations but leaves behind fragments of a narrative that remains both compelling and elusive. The chilling and distressing timeline encapsulating Elias Abdulazim's alleged spree of stabbings between the disquieting months of May and August 2010 unfold as a harrowing saga of terror and tragedy, leaving a deep and indelible scar on the affected communities. Operating under the veil of darkness, Abdulazim protruded proud the streets in his Chevrolet Trailblazer, meticulously settling small-statured men who found themselves alone, unwittingly falling prey to a series of inexplicable and violent attacks. Abdulazem's modus operandi was shrouded in cunning deceit, luring his victim under false pretenses, a guise of needing direction or help with vehicular issues, only to swiftly transition from apparent innocence to a barrage of brutality. With alarming and callous precision, he aimed his stabs towards the victim's mind sections, inflicting grave and often life-threatening injuries upon them, leaving behind a wake of pain and trauma. The disturbing aspect that added a layer of horror to this assault was the unsettling revelation that a significant majority of his victims were individuals of African American descent. This troubling trend sparked fears and suspicion, casting an ominous shadow over the series of attacks, fueling speculations of racial motives, propelling those atrocities acts, compounding the sense of horror and revolution surrounding this heinous crime. By August 4th, 2010, law enforcement agencies grappled with the grim realization that disparate incidents and stabbings might indeed be interconnected. Tracing back to the calculated action of a single predator, a specialized task force and enable of wavering detectives was promptly conveyed to decipher the intricate tapestry of crimes woven together by the assailants. In a testament to Dutch investigative work, the Lisbon police managed to make pivotal strides, linking three assaults on black men within their jurisdictions to a singular suspect. Details gleaned from the victims' accounts, meticulously paired with painstaking analysis of deep, unsettling surveillance footage, meticulously captured during each horrifying incident, began to congeal into a nightmarish portrayal, a malevolent figure orchestrating the gruesome violence. Amid this feverish pursuit of justice, a twist of fate reshaped the trajectory of the investigation. August 5th, 2010 emerged as a pivotal juncture when he found himself ensnared in the hands of the law during an ordinary traffic stop in Arlington, Virginia. Destiny had orchestrated his arrest, revealing an outstanding warrant tied to a prior assault, briefly detaining him before eventually releasing him on bond. Yet this seemingly routine arrest metamorphosed into a watershed moment for investigators. Abdulazem's information lodged within the law enforcement system acted as the elusive final piece in the intricate mosaic, conclusively identifying him as the prime suspect. The alleged orchestra behind the spine-chilling series of stabbings that had plunged communities into the abyss of terror and bewilderment. The intricate and haunting timeline of this assault, coupled with the sheer brutality and inexplicability of these attacks, etched an unpredicted fear that echoed through neighborhoods and communities. The tragic roll call of victims bore the unbearable weight of anguish and loss, while the shadowy figure lurking behind the attack cast a foreboding pall of dread and uncertainty that lingered long after the assailant's capture. The tumultuous journey from arrest to trial marked a pivotal chapter in the harrowing saga surrounding Elias Abdulazem's alleged string of stabbing that terrorized communities across Michigan for the span of May to August 2010. On August 11, 2010, at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Abdulazem found himself apprehended as he awaited a flight bound for Tel Aviv, presented with the choice to contest extradition to Michigan. He declined, subsequently transported to Flint on August 26. Due to the egregious nature of the alleged crime, he was held without bond, consigned to solitary confinement as he awaited the daunting spectre of trial. Abdulazem faced a litany of charges tied to a series of violent incidents that shocked the community. First was assault with intent to murder, charges linked to several attacks, murder charges in connection with several fatalities, and indictment and suspicion relating to other attacks yet to be formally charged. The legal reckoning commenced on May 8, 2012, with the trial centered on the murder of Arnold Minor. In an unusual turn, the judge permitted evidence from the other cases Abdulazem was suspected of to be presented during this trial. A pivotal piece of evidence included a blood drop discovered on Abdulazem's pants, crucially matching Arnold Minor's blood. The prosecution marshaled a formidable array of 50 witnesses, among them Abdulazem's uncle, pivotal in aiding his capture, facade with a weighty barrage of evidence. The defense pivoted towards an insanity plea, However, their defense strategy rested largely on the testimony of a single expert witness, a psychiatrist whose expertise centered on addiction medicine, not mental health. This pivotal testimony became a subject of scrutiny under the prosecution's lens. Counterbalancing the defense stance, the prosecution introduced two psychologists who asserted that while Abdulazem might have exhibited signs of a personality disorder, there was no substance evidence to support a claim of legal insanity during the period of the alleged murders. Their testimony chipped away at the foundation of the insanity defense. The jury, charged with the monumental task of weighing these complex and conflicting testimonies, commenced deliberations on May 22nd, 2012. Astonishingly, merely an hour into their deliberation, they reached a resounding verdict: guilty of the murder of Arnold Minor. This verdict resonated the resolute finality, or as Abdulazem faced sentencing on June 25th, 2012. The gavel of justice resounded with unyielding force, sentencing him to life imprisonment without possibility of parole, a definite conclusion to a portrayed legal saga that sought to bring closure to the harrowing spate of violence that had cast a pall over the affected communities. The saga surrounding Elias, characterized by a chilling series of stabbings that plunged communities into fear and anguish, culminated into the legal reckoning that sought justice for the victims and closure for the affected regions. From the disturbing string of attacks between May and August 2010 to the apprehension at the airport, Abdulazem's journey traversed a landscape fraught with terror, trauma, and legal scrutiny. The trial, a culmination of meticulous investigations and compelling testimonies, unfolded as a complex tapestry of evidences, legal maneuvers, and conflicting expert opinions. As the scales of justice tipped, the jury swiftly rendered their verdict, holding Abdulazem accountable for the murder of Arnold Minor, a verdict that reverberated with solemn finality. This legal denouement, marked by a sentence of life imprisonment without parole, stood as a testament to the resilience of the justice system in confronting and adjud- oh wow, adjudicating heinous crimes. It brought a semblance of closure to a chapter scarred by fear, uncertainty, and profound loss, offering solaces to the communities ravaged by the inexplicable brutality inflicted upon them. The haunting legacy of Elias Abdulazem's alleged spree of violence, while etched in the annal criminal history, also serves as a somber reminder of the resilience of communities in the face of adversities. As the gavel fell on the courtroom, and as gavel fell and the courtroom cleared, it marks not just the conclusion of a trial, but a collective resolve to heal, rebuild, and persevere, a testament to the enduring pursuit of justice and the resilience of those impacted by unimaginable tragedy. Thank you for joining us on this gripping journey throughout the twists and turns of this captivating case. As we conclude, remember to stay curious, stay vigilant, and above all, never stop seeking the truth. Join us next time as we delve into another enigmatic tale that will leave you on the edge of your seat.